All right. Do I have audio? I'm running off a different camera than the computer's camera. It got much better color. I think I need to change the camera angle here. Hello? Any audio? Hello? Hey! Hi, Pirate 530. How's it going tonight? We're going to wait a few minutes for some more people to show up, hopefully. I see a Mandy and a Marcus in there. Oh, hang on. There we go. Got audio, babe?
Only the host is seeing. Hello.
Played with the crane, Pirate 530, huh? She said, nope. Maybe. All right. Camera didn't like me. I'm going to exit out and come right back. Let's see how to get this working. All right. Here we go with the laptop camera. Do we have audio? Hey, either way, Pirate 530, show me what you're using. I'd prefer people to do things as safely as they can. But, you know, sometimes people do pretty daring things on their own. The sawhorses I had here creaked and squeaked and stuff when I was trying to roll the body on the cart. But I always made sure I had, you know, try to put some sort of jack stands or something under it to support it. Like in the video, I'd already been crawling under there to paint the bottom side of the body. So I had jack stands, everything kind of holding it up, having a secondary form of support there. Do we have audio still or no? Because I changed cameras. And audio, because I never heard anybody. I guess I wouldn't hear anybody, huh? See if I can find anybody else's lives. Hey, Marcus. Do we have audio? I was hoping some more people would show up. I should have jumped into somebody else's live before turning this on. Oh, it shows I got 6 on there, looks like. Who do we have on? I still hadn't got confirmation we have audio. Still hadn't got confirmation we have audio. Alan's Cars and Stuff. Hi, how are we doing tonight? Oh, we got Picking with Pickle. Hey, Pickle. You want to join in? Okay, she says, yes, I hear you. Good deal. All right. So Pickle's probably up to speed on this. I don't know if Alan's Cars and Stuff was on the chat last night with, 6% and Picking with Pickle. And who else was on there last night, Pickle? Okay. Pickle said it'll be a little bit. So anyway, got a little bit of PAG oil in my eyes yesterday at work. Partially due to not having safety glasses on. But, I do wear the glasses here religiously. And it was a kind of an incident. It was a brand new compressor, had been pre-charged with a little bit of oil. And I went to take the plug that keeps the oil in it off so we could go ahead and bolt it up to the vehicle. And it had just a little bit of pressure in it, kind of like a soda can. And it sprayed that oil up into my face. Initially, I didn't think I had any sort of oil in my face or my eyes. Wiped my face, washed my face with just plain water and clean rags. After several minutes of doing that, I thought I was in the clear. Then I rinsed my mouth out because I had just a little bit of taste of that in my mouth. So I washed my mouth with about 5 or 6 more water bottles and thought it was good. Went to get in the vehicle to go clean my glasses. And that's when I realized it wasn't my glasses. It was my actual vision was blurry. Mater's here too. Picking with Pickle. We got Mater and Alan's Cards and Stuff. We got my mom. We got my wife and little Marcus here, I think. I should have jumped on. Do we have Miss Carol also, or Pickles said something about her? So, yeah, I got a little bit of that in my eyes. Washed my eyes for about 15, 20 minutes. And, yeah, I was miserable for the rest of the day. I did find out that it wasn't going to harm my vision in, long term. It was just going to hurt for the remainder of the day, more or less. My vision cleared up after a few hours, a little at a time. And sometimes when I'd move around, it would actually re-blur again. So that's, again, part of my topic of safety tonight. Wearing the proper PPE even when you're alone in your own shop or working out on one of your own projects. If it's time to wear welding gloves, wear welding gloves. Wear the welding hood. I even have one of those little caps that the welders use because I kind of hate getting my scalp burned by all that spatter and stuff. So over time, I've learned to just go ahead and throw that on under the welding hood. Mater's working on dinner right now. I just had tacos myself. Mater or Pickle or any of you guys want to jump on later, you're welcome to. So I don't know if Mater caught that story a little bit ago. I think he did. Another thing I do, if I'm spray painting, I'll wear at least a monkey mask. Often when I'm working to remove rust. Oh, really? A tomahawk steak? So yeah, I got a little distracted on that one. So when I'm spray painting, I'll often wear at least a monkey mask. Usually if I'm going ahead to remove rust from something whether it's with wire wheel, grinder. I've also had that surface conditioning tool. I usually wear either a full face respirator, which I can't usually wear because of my glasses. I have a PAPR unit, which is a full hood, like a hard hat with a face shield, and it has pressurized air that blows into it. It's pre-filtered. And that thing works quite well. Filters alone, though, I get my filters for free from work. I've had that thing for years. And so those filters alone are about $90 a piece. There are cheaper ones that'll probably just work as a dust filter. The whole unit itself is quite pricey. Again, I've got it from work anyway. Yes, steak is always a distraction. It'll make me stop in my tracks, right, Mandy? Mom? All right. What else? I'm blown right through that one. So I do have prescription safety glasses. That's what I should have been wearing at work yesterday, or at least some sort of overcover glasses. Safety glasses that go over my glasses. So yeah, that's that topic. I've talked about a little bit about the welding gloves, welding hood, even the welding cap. I probably have more grinders and grinding discs than any sane person should own. Kind of like the Burt Gomer of firearms, except for angle grinders. And that's due to the nature of what I do for work. Also, I get the angle grinders and the flat discs for free. I'm trying to get this adjusted to where it look better centered. All right, that's better. So. Got me stumped, guys. Did all my talking yesterday. I think it's more fun when you have more people on and they just have to take turns and you feed each other ideas in the conversation there. So what's going on with the truck here? If y'all seen the shorts lately, I gotten it down off the sawhorses. I still have the frame, that the top part of the sawhorses and the cross brace is still under the cab. What I have to do now is jack the cab up and dismantle that frame and then set it onto the truck frame. And it's taken me 2 evenings so far. Cleaning and painting the body mounts. This is still just pulls apart. So I painted the rubber even. I just cleaned it with a wire wheel, shot some paint on it, and now this particular one's ready to go. I think I'm down to 2 or 3 more, and I'll have it ready, and I'll be able to set those on the frame and set the body onto those. And that way, and I'm just not even going to bolt it up all the way. I just want it resting on the frame. If I do have to lift the front of the cab up to get the engine and transmission, because the transmission tail shaft has to slide up under the cab there. And when it was bolted down previously, I was unable to squeeze that in there. Oh, thanks, Hannah. Yeah, I'll get to that story too. Thank you. So the transmission tail shaft has to go right under the firewall there. And that transition before, I didn't quite have enough room because the top of the transmission, when it's at that angle, I was still trying to ram the transmission all the way back to get it to start kicking down. The tail of it was on the floor, and the upper part of the transmission bell towards the bell housing was already touching the firewall. And so what I did the first time when I did test fit, I unbolted the cab from the frame and just jacked it up a little bit, put some jack stands under the front corners, and was able to slide that in there. Once I got it all in there, it looks like it would probably sit pretty well in there. I still didn't like how little room there was between the cab floorboard and the transmission. So that's where I decided. I'd already been contemplating a body lift anyway with the tires I've that I already have. So that's what's going on there with that. It is getting a body lift partially out of the tire size and partly out of the transmission there. Yes, I could cut up the transmission tunnel and put the sheet metal in there. I have several pieces of just flat sheet metal, and I also have an entire floor pan from a 2003 2500 HD that had an Allison and 8.1 in the truck. That was a buddy's parts truck. So I do have that floorboard. If I need any part of it, I won't hesitate to use it, or just do the old school thing and just space this one up and stitch some new metal in it. But I want it to look as normal as possible on that side. But I'm not afraid to do the body lift because I was already contemplating it anyway with the tires. Mandy brought up one, the ties back into the safety topic this evening. What was it? Goodness, probably 8-10 weeks ago. I was I was actually cutting that floorboard out of the other truck, and I was using a 7-inch hog leg grinder. And hey, Matt S. And I was reading Matt S.'s message. I'll get to that in two. So I was using a 7-inch grinder with a carbide cutoff wheel on it, and was cutting those floorboards up. And that was actually Square Body Eric's grinder, and that was his parts truck I was cutting up. It was my turn to cut one up. So I was cutting the pieces I needed off of it. They'd already cut everything else they needed off the truck. And that thing kicked back at me, and my arms were still in the position of holding the grinder, and the grinder was no longer in my hands. It spun around and hit me in the side, just adjacent to my belly button, and left a nice deep gouge. It took about 3 weeks before the scabs come off of it. It was pretty gnarly and hurt quite a bit because the shirt was always touching it and rubbing on it. Guess I'm going to read y'all's messages. So that was the grinder incident. I may have mentioned it last night. I think Toe Mater may have been in there. No, Mater had his own live stream yesterday. Picking with Pickle was definitely in there. And I told a little bit about that one. I actually got cast iron metal particles and a little bit of the stone possibly from a Dremel grinding disc in my eyes on Thanksgiving last year. So this is 2 incidents within 1 year where I need to definitely wear my PPE. And safety glasses would have definitely saved my behind on that one. My unfortunate factor is being nearsighted. So I was trying to focus in real tight on where I was trying to get that Dremel at a specific angle. And I looked over the top of my glasses, and that's when it got me, because it was a brand new Dremel disc on there. I'd already burned up 3 of them. What did we see? Where Mater says, can I do how do I banner somebody's? There we go. When I'm painting, I always wear respirator gloves, and I wear it all times. Yes, that's the way to do it. Even spray paint. Spray paint's nasty stuff, guys. I know everybody thinks it's perfectly safe because they sell it at the hardware store. There's stuff will get you. You know, the more you do it, the more likely you're going to get some sort of symptoms or whatever from it. Yes, spray painting in the house, so you get a lot of vapors for a while there too. Yes. Oh, it's, anytime you spray a paint, you aerosolize. It might dry faster on wherever you're painting it on, but it also you put all those chemicals in the air, and the air is what we breathe, right? All right, let me go to, there we go. Matt S. Yeah, when my dad was a welder for 30 years with the mask, you'd have to wear something to protect the top of your head and neck from the heat. Yes. Like I said, I will wear one of those little welder caps, that's got the little teeny tiny brim on the back, which also helps protect your neck from the slag. Skull caps, that's the word. Mater says give him a couple minutes to get out to his garage. I think that's where his camera gear and stuff's at. All right. Yes, we breathe air. It is warm in the shop tonight, guys. It's a lot warmer than I remember it being yesterday. But I think the truck makes a better backdrop than the inside of my camper, so I'd have to do a lot more cleaning and organizing to get the laptop far enough away for me to be good. And then too, the windows bleed a lot of light through, even though I try to block them off with the inch thick foam. got to charge your camera. Well, I tried right before I went live. Had the actual camera I film with hooked to the laptop with a USB cable, and just before I put it on, the camera went out. I don't know what happened. I would think that and I've had the camera on charge for 2 days, so it's fully charged. I think you just have a poor connection at the USB cord here. Not for charging so much as keeping the camera connection to the laptop. And that's the first time I've ever tried to hook that camera or any camera to this laptop, so it didn't know what it was doing. The laptop I run here runs Linux. Linux Mint is what this one runs on, and I have a completely different Linux operating system on my normal video editing machine. So, and part of the reason I do that is I just like Linux operating system better. It's a little bit more direct, and sometimes I have to look up stuff before I can make changes to the laptop myself or the computer myself. And then sometimes it doesn't update and it misses just a little something, and it's a glitch, but it's easier to actually fix those glitches sometimes than it is to try to fix when some sort of Microsoft program goes south on you. I actually have a nice Alienware desktop that it's incoherent at this point because I made the mistake of locking it to where it couldn't do updates, because they like to do those pushed updates, and every time they did that, it would mess up my it was before I was doing video editing. I was doing CAD CAM software, and every time they would do an update, it would mess up my CAD CAM software, and it would take me a week or 2 or 3 to fix it. And so I'd locked it to where it wouldn't do updates. Now I can't unlock it so it can do its updates, and they no longer support that version of Windows. So that was fun. Eventually I'll figure it out, but when I have to figure out stuff like that, I have to dedicate my little brain sources for that, and usually have to learn something. I usually learn something new. Hey, Sky, Steel Sky, there we go. And Mater said he's on his way to this garage, so I'm hoping he'll make it soon. Bounce some more discussions off each other. Steel Sky, we already kind of covered our safety topic. If you guys want to share some of y'all's stories on maybe some of the embarrassing accidents y'all have had in the shop or recent accidents, I shared a few minutes ago about the grinder incident. I shared about my PAG oil in my eyes yesterday, and about the cast iron and stone in my eyes on Thanksgiving Day. So those are the 3 most recent, I guess. Yeah, 3 back-to-back. Well, not back-to-back, but 3 in the last few months. And that was the first time I've actually been cut with an angle grinder. And I've been using angle grinders for over 14 years straight. That is something I do at work, is use an angle grinder to grind the composite fiberglass materials down into a position where you can laminate the proper stages of glass back up. Mater's workshop just left the house. All right. Oh. Neighbors are being noisy. I don't know if that's one of the cement trucks or dump truck, or yeah, bunch of large trucks here. As some of y'all might realize, I'm in a large shop that I only have a little teeny portion of. That it's actually big enough that they can pull a whole semi in here and work on it. But they have a lot of other people's projects in here that aren't mine, and then some vehicles that are collector cars that aren't mine that I'm not allowed to show on camera. And that was something I promised to never disclose which vehicles are where and why. But one of them I actually want to get, and I kind of like the stupid color of it, but all right. Steel Sky says I have to wear hospital grade PPE working at fast food. Blood all over the bathroom. Bleach was abundant that day. What? You must have had an accident. Did I miss something? Oh, you've had to wear the PPE to clean up other people's blood, I'm assuming. That's a mess. I remember when I worked at Kmart when I was in high school. Yeah, Kmart was not even my first or second job. I think it was my third or fourth job. I started working at the age of 14. My mom had to sign a waiver for me to work at an ice factory. And I was 14 years old. And um, that was the first time anybody had ever handed me a snow shovel, because I didn't know what a snow shovel was because I was from Southeast Texas. They handed me a snow shovel and said, hey, go shovel that. They effectively called it snow. It was the ice runoff, because they had big machines that would take big sheets of ice and kind of knock it down into smaller chunks of ice. And our job there was to bag that stuff and stack it on a pallet. And that runoff would just get pumped outside with the screws. And the owner of the place had decided that if he put that into the other side of the refrigeration system to help cool it better, it would make it cheaper for them to refrigerate the entire building. And so that was my job sometimes, was to scoop that stuff up and put it in the other hopper. Would have been smart for them just to invest in another screw that pumped it back over there. But they sometimes they would actually use that same shavings, because it was effectively ice shavings like you would make snow cones out of. They would take that and add a little trickle of water, and they had a machine that had hydraulic rams on it. It was almost like a log splitter, only this would crush the ice up into a block. So that was how we made blocked ice. And you had to be extremely careful with that machine. It had guards on it, but they weren't great guards. If you got your hand in there, you're going to lose parts of your hand. And just picking that block, I think it was an 8 or 10 pound block of ice, picking that joker up after your hands kind of went numb after being cold for a while, you bump your hand on anything. It didn't matter how soft. If it just went a little bit past soft, you were in pain for 10, 15 minutes. And we did it and did it and did it. That's just part of the fun of working at an ice factory. That was also the first time somebody chucked me the keys to a semi and said, hey, go move that thing and go hook it up to that trailer over there and back it up to the loading dock. And he wasn't joking. Actually, I think he was. He was actually surprised I got the truck in gear, and he'd come over right before I was going to back up to the trailer, because I was actually inexperienced in that altogether. Did not have the trailer height adjusted for the kingpin to hit the fifth wheel. And he stopped me in time. He was actually surprised I'd moved the truck. And he had me ground guide the thing on in, and we got it hooked up, and he backed it on up to the loading ramp. But then after that, he actually showed me how to do everything, and I did that. I remember one of the more disgusting things I did at the ice factory. They would get really old bread that the bread places had thrown out, like the day old bread places where they take the bread out of the grocery stores and take it to the day old bread. When they're done with it, it's hog feed. So this guy would go up and fill an entire horse trailer full of week and month old bread, and then we'd back that trailer up to his hog pens and rip the stuff out of the bags and chuck it into the hog pens. And sometimes that stuff would sit out in the sun for too long, and it would get all sorts of bugs and maggots and mealworms in it. I remember one of my coworkers he couldn't hold his stomach. He was having a rough time that day. Oop. Hey, we got Mater. Let's put him in here. Oop. Didn't mean to do that. Let's hit him up there. There we go. Hey, Mater.
What's going on?
Oh, I was hoping to have somebody else in here to keep the chat going a little better.
Okay, I'll leave then.
Oh, come on, Mater. You're over there at, I want to say, Dallas-Fort Worth area, right? No.
A little bit south of Dallas.
Just south of Dallas? Enos, that's right.
Ennis.
Enos. I said it wrong?
Yeah. But, yeah, home of the Texas Motorplex.
Motorplex. Yeah, you're right around the corner from that, I'm sure.
Yeah, because when the big boys are running out here, I can hear them here at the house.
Oh, wow, that's neat.
Yeah, of course, it only
loud, noisy
seconds?
neighbors. Yeah.
But I only hear them for like 4 seconds.
Say, there we go. Yeah, they don't take the track for long, do they?
No. But it's fun. I mean, I raced on it before.
That's a good deal.
Raced and won on
There
it.
you go.
Yep.
What were you racing then?
Believe it or not, I had the slowest vehicle out there. I did. I literally
Consistency.
had. Yeah, the truck I had was a 93 Dodge 1-ton dually club cab diesel.
Oh, man.
And top speed was like 63, 64 miles an hour.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it had power to pull. Okay, that was the whole thing behind the diesel. But it had that torque and everything to move, but it wasn't fast.
Right.
And when I say slow, I could do the quarter mile in 20 seconds.
Right.
But it would run 20 seconds. Consistent.
Every time.
Yep. And I think 8th mile was like a 12, I think a 12.4.
What a decent car does in a quarter.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, I liked running the Corvettes on a quarter mile, especially the 6-speed Corvettes.
Oh, wow.
Mainly because I was running a guy out in Hallsville one night. And, of course, I had it dialed in at 20 seconds flat. And I think he was like 1175. So I was like, I'm going down the track and everything. And I'm looking up. I got the finish line coming up. And he's still back
there.
He's still like a half track. I'm going, there's no way he's going to beat me. So I'm getting on the brakes and everything to slow down. I went across like at a 23, and he still hadn't caught me. I found him afterwards and was talking to him. He goes, yeah, I got anxious. Went first, second, fifth. He said as soon as he knew when he hit fifth gear and the car hit that car, his went like that. He goes, it's over. There's no way recovering from it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of them do that.
I guess that's how you win when you got something consistent. You just stay consistent and let them make their mistakes.
Automatics, when it comes to drag racing, I found out is the best thing to have because you can run more consistent with an automatic than you can a standard.
Let the transmission do its job.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, you got the electronic ones; they can tune on them.
Yep. Right now, Mother Nature's tuning the band up for round 2. Yeah, I'm hearing the thunder coming in.
I was going to say, you getting some drumming outside?
Yeah, last night I had some water actually here in the garage.
Oh,
we had so much rain. It started coming down so hard and fast that it started coming in the garage.
Goodness.
But
as
far as I was gonna say, like with the PPE and everything, that's something that you've always got to have on, no matter what.
They say statistics show you're more likely to get injured at home than you are at work because you don't have that safety guy. Oh, the safety guy is going to show up. I better be wearing da-da-da-da. Yeah, you're working at home. You're the safety guy. You got to do it. Call yourself out on it.
Right. Well, on the other side of the sheet and everything I got here, that's where I do my woodworking. So I've got my table saw, I've got a joiner, I've got a planer. Whenever I'm running them, I even got my miter saw. I'm wearing my earmuffs.
Oh, yeah.
Those things are so noisy. It's like, I went over to Walmart and bought a pair for like $12. And anytime I turn them on, nope, I'm putting them on first.
Right. I was just looking. I probably have earplugs sitting here on this bench. Namely because I like to wear these. They're the bone conduction headphones. Okay. And when you put the earplugs in, you can actually hear these better. And then I've also noticed I can still run an angle grinder and stuff like that with those earphones in and still hear these earbuds because they put the sound in your bone, not your ear hole. So that's kind of neat being able to hear and still be able to wear hearing protection at the same time.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, even like, I don't wear them when I'm doing my nailing because, the little air compressor I've got is, to me, it's noisy, but it's not that loud. It's not as loud, say, as the table saw.
Oh yeah.
But I'm wearing my glasses when I'm running that kind of stuff. But yeah, you got to save protection. But now, like what Pickle was talking about earlier, I think last night had Jamie on. Okay, Miss Carol. Last year, there was a big YouTube meetup and everything,
Okay.
and Crystal and I were both there. Well, Jamie was supposed to be in there, but she'd been grinding on something, and the grinding wheel had actually come apart and flew through her
Oh, that's right. She
shield.
was telling about that.
Yep, came to her shield, and a piece of it got right in her eye. Sometimes not even all of your PPE will protect you.
True. I think she was commenting last night that she was wearing a Harbor Freight face shield too. So she was putting some blame on that, and that could very well be part of the factor. Is it wasn't substantial enough to stop that grinding disc, and then sometimes the grinding discs, when they come off, off.
Well, they're spinning their 11,000 RPM, so they're moving.
My one grinder spins at 9. I do have an 11,000 RPM grinder. When you get up to 7-inch disc, you're actually supposed to stay below 7,000 RPMs, and that's where the particular grinder I use. I have to be careful because I like to throw a 7-inch disc on there and it'll hold it, but the disc doesn't like it.
Yeah. So that right there is not using the correct equipment for the job. That's
Correct.
something else is, you get people that will modify the tools to do something it's not designed for.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Blade techs in general, we're always trying to figure out what tool we can make do the job we're trying to get done, because sometimes there's not a tool made for the particular composite repair that we're doing. We use oscillating tools, Dremels, grinders, chisels. Anytime we can figure out a way to make that perfect corner or whatever we got to do in the, because sometimes we have to modify balsa core or foam core and put new pieces in, and you want the most precise fit going back together so your repair can last as long as possible.
Yep.
And that's what we're actually seeing right now is somebody else's repairs are failing on some of the blades we have here in the yard, and it pops through the glass, just because they did not have a fine enough fit at their foam core. The glue that you glue the foam core in with, if you have too much of it there, it's too stiff, and that will push its way through the glass lamination in some places, and that's failed repairs. And we're making a good chunk of change off of redoing other people's repairs. But we just shipped out a set of blades last week. They got to site, and 2 repairs had popped. And obviously they weren't our repairs. They weren't popped when they left here though. So it was like, it's really disheartening, because we could have made a little bit more money and had those blades fixed right, but it got out the door that way.
Yep. Now you talking about that and blades and everything. That reminds me of something years ago when I was working in the glass industry. I showed up at one of the shops I had to go deliver to, because what we did the edge work on glass. In other words, if you wanted either flat polish, pencil polish, or if you wanted a beveled mirror, we were one of only 3 companies in town in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that actually did it. And we had a turnaround that was a lot faster than the oldest one. Yeah. Anyways, I was out delivering to a place over in Fort Worth one day, and I seen a piece 4 inches thick of laminated glass. I'm going, what are you going to use that for? He goes, oh, this is one that we're going to take out and replace. And I think it was Bell Helicopter.
Oh, wow.
I go, you got to replace it? What happened to the other one? They go, oh, well, this is where they test their helicopter blades, and they've already had another one go through. A helicopter blade had gone through 4 inches thick of laminated glass.
See, 4 inches should be between 60 and probably 80 layers. Yeah, that's a lot of glass.
A lot of lamination also, and that thing was heavy. It's like,
oh yeah. I meant to bring a chunk in here. It was a lightning strike from last week. With little bitty pinhole on the outside of the blade. We thought either it's a lightning strike or dry glass, because that particular manufacturer, they vacuum infuse resin. They lay all the glass in the mold dry, and they vacuum infuse the resin into the glass, and they just pump the resin in at the root and pull it out at the tip. And sometimes there'll be an uneven spot or a wrinkle in there, and the glass will miss that particular couple strands of, or the resin will miss that glass when it's being vacuum infused. And because they put the gel coat in the mold before they put all the glass in, you never see the dry glass because it's already covered in gel coat. And it pops years later after it's been in service. And what we do primarily, a lot of our big work on, is for the service department that's brought in the used blades and recycling them. So we're part of the recycling program here. They bring us fixable blades, and if they've had a bad batch of some other brand of blades, they take all the blades from a site, repower those towers with new gearboxes, new rotors, new blades, because those are your main wear items. Right. When you put all those parts on, they take the old parts and store them at a yard like ours, and then we get the opportunity to bid on repairing those. And because we're already got teams here doing auto repair as well, which is just here to fix minor shipping scratches and bumps, my teams get to fix that. By Tuesday, they've already done their quota for the week, and then we do the other repairs for the rest of the week. And with that, we've already been paid for them to be here for that. Now we're bidding on the other work and getting paid for that too. So we're a little bit of double dipping. Right. So that's the fun we do, fixing stuff like that. So we ground into it. The damage from the outside only went 3 layers in. My tech's like, hey, what do I do next? I said, you still see that burn mark in there? He goes, yeah. I said, that's on the inside of the blade. He goes, yeah, I know. How do we get to it? Go get your cutoff wheel. I went over there and drew a square on the blade. I said, cut that out. And so I have a little 100 millimeter by 100 millimeter square, and the burn mark's still on the inside of the blade where he'd already ground out the outside of the blade. So that was a 12-layer repair. No biggie. So.
Damn. Yeah, those are some big blades. Now you're talking about the ones that. Now let me understand. You're talking about the ones that are on those big old wind generators I see all over the place.
It's a turbine. Anything that generates electricity is a turbine. So it's a water turbine, not a generator. So wind turbine. But yes, they those are the blades I work on. The old blades when I started in the industry were 32 meters or 35 meters. We're up to 67 meter blades in our yard right now.
You're here in the United States, right?
Yes, I'm in Garden City, Kansas.
Okay. So am I. I'm used to
freedom units.
I'm used to inches and feet and stuff like that. I still haven't got no. I don't go the metric way.
Okay, 67 yards would be maybe about 70 yards. 67 meters would be about 70 yards. So we can work that out real quick. Hang on, I'll get it.
It's 210 feet.
There you go. So
you got to
210 feet, and I walk in and out of those things all day to find the repairs for us.
Right. Well, easy way to figure that out is figure that 1 yard is 3 feet. So you said it's say 7 meters or 7 yards. Okay, well 3 times 7 is 21. So 70 yards. Yeah. That's easy, quick math.
Yeah. I would just round numbers. They're long. They have special telescoping trailers that steer in the back. There's a steerman in the pilot car behind them. They usually have a pilot car in front of them. Mm-hmm. And they prefer to travel in teams or blade sets. That makes it easier so they can kind of use less pilot vehicles. You got one leading the whole pack, and then one at the back, and maybe one between each trailer. The one between trailer would be the steerman for each specific trailer.
Okay.
So
now one thing I was going to say is below where you see us, you see the little bar down there. It's got the different symbols.
mute, stop camera settings, present.
I'm talking about like right below us.
Oh, the screens.
Yeah.
Group layout.
Should be like the third one. It should be. I know a lot of people. Yeah, that way. There you go.
Okay. Does that make it easier for y'all?
It does for me, and I know a lot of other people. They prefer that kind of layout.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that did zoom out the camera a little bit.
Yeah.
Or the screen there.
Well, all the reason I'm saying because I know you haven't done that many live streams. I'm just trying to, give you my input because I've done several.
This is my second one. First one, I made the mistake of going straight off of YouTube, and I wasn't able to add anybody in or anything like that. I was struggling with it. Kind of went into panic mode when the first one failed out, and it just the little wheel just kept saying it was going to start, and it never started.
Right.
So it ran for about 2 seconds.
Let's see.
And then, of course, by the time I got it up and running, I lost all the people that were in the chat.
Right.
Some of y'all found me, but
Well, see, for me, I've already had 2 streams already this week alone.
Yes. Well, my last one was Sunday, and I jumped into some of the other ones earlier in the week.
Right.
I've learned now just to get on and just see if there's a live, and it's going to be one of you guys out there that's part of the new group I'm in here with the No Name Nationals. So
right. And one thing that I found out that someone had told me is pick a day and pick a day and a time and be consistent with it.
Yeah.
Also try and see who is live on those days. That way you're not overlapping them.
Yeah.
And I was looking, and basically like 7:00 Central, Mondays and Wednesdays, like nobody was going live. It's like, okay, fine. There's my time right there.
Right.
I had people that would go live on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and of course, it seems like everybody and their brother wants to go live on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Right.
But nobody picked Monday and Wednesdays.
There you go.
And I mean, like I said, I knew people they would do. At the very beginning, I knew people that would start like at 5:00 on a Saturday evening, and then like 2-3 hours later, had somebody else would take over, and then someone after that, and it's like
you spend your whole evening on live streams.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that too. When I'm trying to work in the shop, I'll just put the headphones on, leave my phone in the corner on the charger, and listen in on it. And then if I hear a topic I need to comment on, I'll run back to the phone and make comments. But that way I'm out in the shop trying to get some work done. So
right. And one thing I do like about YouTube is you can learn quite a bit.
Yes.
I mean, I've had problems that is like I have no idea what's going on. So okay, fine. Let me look it up on YouTube. And it's like there might be, say, a dozen videos on the same topic. And
that's called searchable content, and that's where I try to focus on going back to at every opportunity is try to make some searchable content of how to do this task or that.
Right.
Especially if I find something that I'm particularly good at. So,
right.
Or if I find something that there is no video on. Did one on the garage door opener the other day. I needed to know how to work on that particular one because the ceilings in this garage are quite high. That A-frame ladder is sketchy. And I was at the top rung that I was allowed to be on and could just barely reach the garage door opener.
Right.
And and that being said, I had to learn on my own on that one. And I was like, well, this is a good opportunity to make a video on how to work on this particular model of garage door opener. So,
yeah. Well, it's just like for me, like on these lights that I've got hung up in here, these are ones that you go to Harbor Freight and get. and they're designed to be, I mean, they're 4-foot LEDs, but they're
Yep.
designed to be hung up with a chain. Well, if I hang them up with a chain, they're going to be hanging too far down. I'm going to be walking right into them. And what I wound up doing is I just drilled the hole, put rib nuts in there, and then got me some wood to go on the backside and drilled a hole straight through that with the screw and everything right into it.
That works.
I mean, and I did the video on it too. It's like,
oh, that's cool.
It's like, okay, I got one of these little Vivor diesel heaters, and they're 12 volt. I mean, yeah, they're designed for putting in like your tent when you go camping or your RV or something like that. Well, I've got it for inside here. And it's like, but like I said, they're 12 volt power, and everything. I'm using the power supply out of a computer.
That'll work.
As
long as it's got the amperage, yeah.
It puts out 12 volts. It's got enough amps and everything. It powers it no problem.
Yep. I've actually got one of those diesel heaters in my camper.
Do you? What do you think?
I love it. It's easy because I can go buy diesel any time of the day or night. I don't have to get somebody out there to pump propane for me. They run about the same price roughly. I guess propane might be cheaper sometimes, but it's easier for me to go get diesel.
Right. And propane, you don't have to worry about freezing up. Or diesel, you don't have to worry about it wanting to freeze.
It takes a lot. Yeah. I keep it in the tank. I keep it in the storage bay of the camper. So it's adjacent to the heat source that the diesel heater is. And so that naturally keeps it at a temperature where it's going to be protected from freezing. It may not be warm in there, but it's protected from freezing.
So the one that you've got, is that one that one of those kits where you had to assemble it?
The Amazon kit, yeah.
Okay, I got mine off of eBay, and mine was
the built module.
Yeah, mine was an all-in-one. Basically, all you have to do is got the handle and everything. You don't have to assemble anything for it. Just hook up your wire.
Perfect.
Yep,
perfect for a garage
and everything. And yeah, now I'd actually ordered one to get set up on the other side to put have heat over there also, because eventually I want to have this as a solid wall down through here with the door going in between.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, let me get one for over there. I'd ordered it, and I ordered it back in January, and it said, okay, it's gonna be here by such and such time. That time came and went, and it was like, okay, next day. I think about a week later, I wound up going, to eBay and everything, to the seller, going, hey, I still haven't received my item. And a couple of days later, it's like, okay, well, you're getting a refund.
Well, that's nice of them.
Stuck in customs out in California.
Yeah.
For some reason. And it's like, hey, that thing might still show up.
We got Picking with Pickle.
Uh-oh.
There we are. How's that? It's going good, Pickle.
Hey, Pickle.
Hey, Mater. How are you?
Pretty good. Stomach feels better now after getting something put in it.
Right. Well, it was the ribeye or the cowboy steak?
Tomahawk.
Yeah. There we go. I was trying to get to it.
Drool worthy.
Mm-hmm.
You had a tomahawk? Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, 6% jumped on.
Hey, 6%.
Hey.
I wonder how much, I'm just wondering how much his case of pain reliever he still has left working on the Chambler. Man, I tell you, I definitely would have thrown my hands up on that about 3 episodes into it and said, to hell with it, start all over.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's doing good with the project, though. Like
Yeah,
you said,
he
we probably would have scrapped it if it wasn't for YouTube, but it is coming along. Like I said, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. I mean, like I said, it is putting content out there.
It is, yeah.
And it's like I said, for me, it's like I would have just given up and said, forget it and crushed it already and gone and got another project. But he's determined. I'll give him that.
He is determined.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I give him that and
Hey,
everything.
6%.
So there's nothing wrong with it. I mean,
Well,
with
at least
everything,
it doesn't have a
he's
Bluetooth chassis.
No, I think the chassis is okay. It's the body that was poorly constructed.
It's a Bluetooth body.
I mean, everything he's found on it, there was more rust on it and everything. And, it's
And
like,
body filler.
I don't think he's
Bondo,
found
a lot of
body-
Bondo and a lot of little tiny house flashing pieces.
I'll be right back. I got something to show you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, he's been finding the HVAC flashing,
Yeah.
aluminum rivets for everything. It's like, oh, at least he's getting some scrap metal out of it.
That's what I told him. Yeah. Jeez, I forget what he said now. Something about doing a giveaway. And I was like, hey, you should cut up some tiny little pieces and sign them. Give them away.
Yep.
Put your signature on them. Or a sticker.
I think one comment I left for him one time was, well, if he drove that to the no name and everything, by the time he drove up and parked it, it probably would have been just like the Bluesmobile. Got there and everything just fall apart.
Maybe I'll have it drivable by No Names Nationals. I hope so, because I'm going to try and make it there, but see what happens.
Right now, I've got a guy out of Canada that is saying that if I want to go, he'll help me find a way. That, he was asking me how much and
That's
everything
cool.
would it cost, and I told him for fuel, hotel room, having something to eat and everything for the few days, I'll be looking at about $500.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And he's going, hey, he'd be willing to help find a way of getting me there. That way I can do videoing.
That reminds me, D&D Speed Shop put out a video earlier this week. He's trying to give away the 66. I don't remember what the model of the car is, but it's one of those where he made a 4-door into a 2-door. And he's offering to give it away. I was like, well, give it to me. I'd love to have it on my channel. So y'all petition him, tell him to give that car to me. I'll fly up there and drive that thing home.
What kind of car is it?
You'd have to jump on his channel. Let me see if I can find it.
All right. Well, to me, if it ain't a Mopar, I wouldn't want it.
Oh,
You're a
well.
Mopar man.
Yeah, I like my Mopar.
I'll take anything free.
Yeah, me too.
I'm that guy. That's how I've gotten almost every Ford I've ever had was free. Let's see.
Well, I mean, even if it was a Ford, I'd still take it, but I'd immediately go and trade it in for a Mopar.
There you go. 66
Hey,
Chevy.
The one thing, really gets me is, I've got a 09 Dodge Caliber, which was the replacement for the Neon. And everybody, you always hear everybody, oh, how bad the Neon was, this, that, and the other. And then they said, oh, how bad the Caliber was. Well, I don't care what manufacturer you've got. When you've got a brand new car, the very first 2 or 3 years, there's going to be bugs in it that they've got to get worked out. And it's usually, if you actually look at it, the later production models are the ones that are best because they've already figured everything out that was screwed up and they've gotten fixed.
Right?
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time.
Right. And it's like, whoever had my car, they never did do a transmission service on it. As I was trying to figure out what was going on, and come to find out, the transmission for that is actually got 2 filters.
Oh yeah.
You've got right. Well, you've got the one in the pan like normal, but they've actually got one in the transmission cooler.
Ah.
Oh, okay.
And
This is a link to that. This is a link
Right.
to that video I was telling you they're giving away that car.
Okay.
This is what I went to get a minute ago. This is Sika Force body filler. Let me get it on the screen here. This is what we use at work. It's a polyester-based body filler, and you put this mixing nozzle on there and squirt it directly on what you want to put your body filler on, slick it off with your normal Bondo spreader, give it 15-20 minutes, and it's ready to sand. We use this stuff religiously, and it's fun to use. I have this because it's technically not expired, but I can't use it at work. It says best if used by 1/23, and they made me take about 6 cases of this stuff home. Twist my arm. So if anybody needs some body filler, this stuff's unique. It's easy to use. You put it in a normal caulking gun, and if you don't have the mixing nozzles, you just put it on your little mixing board like you would Bondo, and it comes out in a perfect ratio. Squirt it onto your board, mix it up, put it where you're putting it, done. So
that's 2-part mix in there.
Yes, it's got 2 pistons inside of here, so only the front half of the tube would be filled with the actual components, and the rest is the actual pistons that push into there. So
And so you can use like a regular caulk gun on that.
Regular caulk gun makes it so
that,
easy.
That would be nice. Yeah, just have a caulk.
Because some of the other chemicals we use at work, they're twin tube, and you have to have a special twin tube caulk gun, and of course the whatever mixing nozzles that those need, and that stuff. Some of that stuff's really pricey, and most of that stuff's like glue or some form of adhesive, which you could probably glue 2 dump trucks together with some of the stuff I use. And if at the very worst, you're going to have one dump truck lose its dump bed because it's going to be attached to the other one. That stuff's pretty stout glue sometimes.
That's what you do. You do body work on
effectively, I do body work on wind turbine blades.
Okay.
Composite repairs.
Cool.
So
cool stuff.
Man, with the way things are going, that's you got some job security there.
You do, yeah.
I had an aunt that she was not fond of a certain president, and she's like, he's trying to outlaw wind turbines because they kill birds. I was like, he could outlaw those tomorrow, and I'm going to be busy for the rest of my career anyway. We already have enough of them in this country, and they need enough maintenance. I will never run out of work to do.
Well, Germany's full of them. I don't know if you've ever seen Germany, but there's a ton.
I lived in Germany for 3 years. Goodness, it was. Let's see, I've been out for 14 years, so 15, 16, about 18, 19 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So, and they were steadily building them then. In fact, for the last 7 years, until like a year ago, I worked on just Siemens brand wind turbines, which is the German manufacturer. And so I worked for them for quite some time. In their side of the industry, every engineer knows my name. He has seen my pictures and he's seen my work. Every engineer in the world, because we did a campaign where we were doing the repairs so quickly that this group of engineers would become overwhelmed with processing the pictures. So then they would just forward them to the next group of engineers in another country. And so every engineer in the world that worked for Siemens has seen my pictures and my repairs. And when I tell them to scrap a blade, that thing's going to the landfill or they're cutting it up. If I tell them the repair is fixable, they'll tell me, how do you intend to fix it? We just said, we've declared that blade's not fixable. I'll fix it. I'll show you how. I'll send you the pictures. So either way, but if I tell them it's not fixable, they're not going to argue with me. But my attitude about most blades is they're all made of glass and glue. As long as I can put glass and glue back to replace where it came from, we'll figure it out.
That'll be great.
that's something I'm curious about. I've seen the videos and pictures, showing all the turbine blades, going out to the
Oh, the ones in the
landfill.
landfills. Yeah. Unfortunately, they take up a lot of room when you put them in a place like that,
Right.
and they're very visible from even satellite imagery.
Yeah. But what deems one of those to be unrepairable then?
Manufactural defects. That the main reason you'd see one in a landfill is because that batch had some major engineering fault that cannot be corrected economically.
Okay.
Not having enough glass in the right places, having too much glass in the wrong places. If they make them too stiff, they can actually break more readily than if they're too flexible.
They can't be recycled?
There's no economical way of recycling them. There's ways to melt the resin back out of it, but then you can't use the resin, and you really can't use the glass other than chopping it up. They do have large carbide type machines that can grind them up, and you can potentially use that in as a filler for like road pavement. Some countries do cut them up and use them for other objects like bus stop shelters and stuff, but you can only use a small portion of the blade for that. I've actually been contemplating cutting one of our scrap blades here in the yard, and making a desk out of it. So I'd have one of the most unique desks in the world.
I'd like to go through those that grinder that's got all the teeth that they say you can put it in, it'll chew up just anything. I'd like to see one of those, what they would do to it.
The same things they mulch logs is the same grinder. They just put slightly different teeth on it. It's real hard on them. It chews them up pretty quick. It can use up the carbide out of there pretty quick because it's glass and it's pretty abrasive material. Yeah,
it's good stuff. Yeah.
Oh, Mandy made it back. So yeah, I mean it's tough stuff. I mean we use carbide. If we're cutting, we use I can actually use a normal metal wheel cutoff wheel. It just wears it out pretty quick. Yeah. I typically use a carbide. If I'm trying to chamfer a blade where I'm staging the layers of glass, go step each layer, and I need to make about 50 millimeters, which would be 2 inches, because 1 inch is 24 millimeters, so 50 millimeters is 2 inches. You need to step each layer needs to have 2 inches of adhesion point before you go deeper into the next layer, and that's where I got hired into this industry initially. Is I can read glass and see those layers and have the skill with the grinder to not go through too many layers at once. And so my largest repair to record is a 36 layer repair. They did not have a work instruction when I began that process. They told me what layers were where, and I took them out. And when we had it apart, the engineer was actually over my shoulder taking pictures of everything and wrote a work procedure for the task I'd done based off of what I'd done.
That's awesome.
So, in fact, I had a friend call me the other day. He's known me for probably 12 years. He was told to perform said task, and he looked at the work instruction and saw my name at the top of it. He goes, I didn't know you did that repair. I said, I was the first person to do that repair. So,
cool.
Remember you were talking about the 4 inches of glass that was to protect the helicopter blades from going through the facility.
Yeah.
The root of that blade is over 60 layers on that particular model of blade. And what we did is we developed a way to go in there and replace the bushings that were laminated into the blade because it had a severe lightning strike and they burned the bushings out. Cut the bushings out, put new bushings in, and relaminated it all. And it took me, I want to say 60 or 80 hours of just grinding to get that blade prepared for the lamination. When it was time for the lamination, they brought in all the blade techs in the region. I think we had about 8 people there, and we had 2 guys just mixing resin the whole time. And they already had the chicken buckets full of resin. They just had to pour the hardener in and stir it up, and then hand it to one of us that were inside the blade laminating it. So we were inside the blade doing the lamination. So And we only have it
It's like, how big around are those things?
at the base. Goodness. I'd say about 30 feet. They're 25 feet. Yeah, they're pretty big. The base section, weighs the most. Obviously, you want it to weigh more. Two, it's one of the shorter sections because of its extreme diameter. It makes it weigh more. By the time you get to the top section, it might be almost triple the length of the base section, but it weighs less. Because they have a taper to them. 80-meter tower, by the time you get to the top of the nacelle, is 295 feet. So roughly 300 feet. And that's an 80-meter tower. That's the most common size in North America. You go into Canada, they jump to 100 and 120-meter towers. The first time I climbed one of those, the site managers just happened to show up and was in the base of the tower and heard me throwing out some swear words. It's like, who the hell keeps adding these tower sections to this tower? Because I know it was only 4 tower sections when I started climbing. Now we're at 5. That was effectively my verbiage. And I remember him laughing from the base of the tower because it echoes so bad in there. He just could hear me cursing.
Now,
at the end of the day, he goes, "What were you saying?" I said, "Who keeps adding these damn tower sections? It was a 4-section tower when I started climbing it."
now my question is, okay, when you're assembling one of those turbines, when do the blades themselves actually get attached? Are
They're attached to the rotor the week before. They build the rotor on the ground, and it has to be torque contingent before it can go up. So the QAs will inspect it. It has to be built a few days before so the QAs can inspect it, because typically they're going to find something wrong because the BOP contractors generally don't know how to read or don't know how to read English effectively. What's ironic about that is the repair manuals are written in about 17 different languages. So we give them a repair manual in every language known to man, and they don't bother reading them. Oh, instructions, thanks. Throw it over their shoulder. And we got work to do. Their foreman will go sit through the class on how to do it and watch the slideshow on how to do it, and the foreman just kind of halfway teaches his guys how to do the task. And so as a TFA, even though I'm a blade tech, a TFA is a technical field advisor. We go out there and catch their mistakes and have them corrected. If they refuse to correct it, then we have to go behind them and correct it. And that gets charged to the end customer at probably triple the rate as if the BOP contractor had done it. So
the reason I was asking was I didn't know if they put the turbine section itself up on top and then had the Jolly Green Giant go up there tightening the bolts and everything for the blade.
Well, each brand or manufacturer might have some variations on how to build them. Because I know in like countries like Brazil, they'll pour a concrete tower in position, and then after that's cured, they'll put the nacelle or machine head on the top, and then put the rotor on top. Stab the rotor afterwards. But those things are there. They're not the most stable thing, but they're kind of not going anywhere. And at least there's nothing of value in that tower other than the high voltage cables. So once that thing is energized, no one's stealing it, hopefully. But in some of those countries, the biggest problem we have with building them is the trenching crew will go out there, trench a mile or so and put a mile of cable in there. Actually, it's 7 strands. So you actually, every mile, you're putting 7 miles of cable in. And the next morning they'll come back and that's gone. Even if it's buried over, if they didn't compact it enough, the locals will go out there and dig it up and get it.
Wow.
And sell it as scrap metal. And it's ridiculous. Selling something that's hundreds of dollars a foot at scrap metal's pennies a foot or a couple bucks a foot.
Right.
And they're shooting their own country in the foot. Because it's some of those countries they're it's not an open market economy, so their government's paying for all this stuff, so they'll have energy, and it just takes more money and more time to get those built over there because they're all theft.
Right.
The first time
I saw one of those wind farms is when I went up to Oklahoma and going right there where the Arbuckle Pass is. It's like all
They're
of a
right there
sudden,
on the freeway.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like right there on 35, and it's like get over there, and then it's like I had to go get some parts at the my motorcycle shop.
Yeah.
Got down close to them, and of course, this is all east of Waco, and it's like, when they put all this up? It's like they're just starting to pop up all over the place.
Arbuckle Pass, those are either Vestas or Gamesa machines. Those effectively use all the same components. The original company was Vestas, and half of the big wigs of the company decided they didn't like how things were being operated. They went off and started their own company, but they made an identical machine because they basically stole their own blueprints, and and they used the same suppliers for the longest time. And so it's virtually impossible to tell the difference between a Vestas or a Gamesa machine from the ground unless you just happen to know who built it or what site it's at, because their parts are identical. The most common machine is probably a GE machine. There's some other oddball brands out there. I got to meet Mr. Samsung himself, like from the Samsung washers and dryers type. They built 3 of them. They built 3 of them for a cotton cotton co-op up in not Amarillo, Lubbock, Texas. They built 3 of those, and the manufacturer I worked for at the time, the blade manufacturer, built the blades for them. And their crane operator damaged the blades for us, and I got the pleasure of going out there to fix the blade. And Mr. Samsung spoke better English than his translator, but it's considered rude to talk directly to the translator. You talk to the person, and his translator talks to him for you, and vice versa. It's hilarious. And then the first thing they do is always hand you a business card. So I was real keen on that. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember this is one of their customs. So I ran back to my work truck, and I just happened to have business cards. And ran back and got my business card out and gave it to them. But his translator insisted on going up in the basket with me before I did the lamination. He wanted to take his own pictures. And I was like, you do realize I still have to grind on this, right? I'm wearing a Tyvek and a full face respirator, gloves and all this stuff. And he's standing up there in a suit and tie. Suit and tie. And like, he's got his harness on, but he's got a suit and tie on. I'm like, you're about to get covered in glass. Really itchy fiberglass, because that particular blade was made with polyester resin, which for some reason polyester resin glass will stick to your skin 10 times harder than epoxy resin glass.
Oh, it's bad. I know.
Yeah,
I've done it, and
rough.
it's the same thing with insulation in houses, and
I'm immune to that stuff now, but
fiberglass truck caps. Oh man, stuff's brutal.
And he didn't complain a bit. I covered that dude in more glass than I've seen any. He was white. His suit was white. He got coated in fiberglass. And back then I was using a 7-inch disc on my 4-inch grinder, and that thing was spinning at 12,000 RPMs. I was younger and dumber back then. But we had a special disc that was made for higher RPMs at the time, and they've actually discontinued that disc because they still would fail quite often, and with quite a show when they would fail. I could sense when they were about to blow, and I would make sure I was standing at the right angle from that grinder, because I knew that disc was coming to go off and it was going to go right. And when it goes right, it doesn't stay in the basket with you. It might go several hundred yards off into the farmer's field. and usually I have a designated person on the ground to go chase those down for me. It's like, never stand under my basket, because I do drop tools, even though I'm not supposed to drop, because they're all supposed to have a tool lanyard on them. I've had one that was quite funny, though. It was just a 5-in-1 putty knife. Slipped out of my hand, went straight to the ground, and buried itself.
Ooh.
Never seen
We
it again.
found-
What's that black hole? That black hole where you never find anything again.
We did find it at the end of the week. That there was just a nub of the handle sticking up at the end of the week after a rainstorm. The rain had rinsed the mud off of it.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
how high up in the air were you at that time?
That must have been pretty far up for that to go that far in the ground.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't that bad. I would say 150, 175 feet.
Well,
And
that's a
a crane
lot for me. I wouldn't be able to handle that.
The running joke in the industry is in the next few years, we'll be able to just roll up in our truck and pop out a step ladder and be able to reach the tip of the blade. Because we got 80-meter towers with 70-meter blades and stuff on.
Oh, so yeah.
do the math. Do the math.
So
It's
far.
only 20 meters off the ground. You're 2/3 the way back.
All you need to do is start going and getting King Kong to come out and do the work for you.
I just need to grow a few more
Climb
feet.
up.
Maybe borrow some stilts from somebody that does sheetrock or something. Yeah. I was actually
someone
pretty
that does
good with
that.
stilts as a kid.
You know,
Oh,
I've
you know
never
somebody
had
that
a
does
grinding
sheetrock?
wheel explode.
No, I know someone that he's a performer at a Renaissance festival.
Oh, yeah.
His family, he's always walking around with the stilts on, with an accordion.
An accordion, huh?
He's playing the accordion. He's on stilts.
Wow.
I guess that beats juggling because if you drop one of the things you're juggling, it's further to get off the ground, right?
Well,
Somebody, hey kid, throw that back up here.
no, that's what his brother does, is juggling.
Oh, okay.
Brother and sister, they do the juggling part.
There we go. So he had to be different.
Yeah. But they are entertaining, that's for sure.
That's good.
Steel Sky is saying something about you, Mater.
Let me
I
I'll
know.
put it up on the screen here.
No, you don't.
Oh,
Hey,
goodness. Don't
and I'm
forget the
the
gloves
one
when you
that
come back
started
in
on
from the
cooking.
shop.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm the one that started on getting the ground beef and everything cooked and seasoned and everything for dinner tonight.
Well, it's not steak, though.
No, it's not that much. I mean, just a couple of pans and like 3 bowls, and it was about it for dinner. Because I mean, just her, my mom, and myself. That's it.
Yeah, well, you don't need a lot of food like that, then.
There's not a lot that has to be cleaned up after dinner, anyways.
Well, lucky you, I says.
Well, what have you been working on over there, Pickle?
Moving, finishing this
Moving.
house. Mm.
Oh, goodness. So
Yeah.
I recall some of your videos. With the first video I watched was you were walking out to the barn with the goats and letting them out for the day or whatever. And that's quite entertaining. We don't have goats yet. We do have chickens. Now we've had a few red-tailed hawks kind of eyeballing the chickens.
Yeah, watch out for them. You know, get
Yesterday,
the
I think it was yesterday we had a bald eagle show up.
Oh,
Thank you.
really?
Yeah,
22.
you can't even run those guys off. You just have to look at them funny and hope they leave you alone. But
Yeah.
plus, we had problems with our neighbors. They like to party and wait till about 2 a.m. on Saturday or Sunday and let off live rounds into a target. And so we had the game wardens come out and put cameras on our property. That way, if they were coming on our property, we'd catch them for poaching. They didn't have any problems with that, but I think my wife finally figured out what to do about to get rid of the hay that's in the chicken coop. She likes to wait until they crank up their karaoke machine and light that up, and it typically gasses them out, and they turn down their party. So chemical warfare, so to speak.
Mandy, it might be a $10,000 fine, but if I'm not mistaken, there's also prison sentence involved for shooting and killing a bald eagle.
There probably is. Yeah, I think there is here too, and I'm in Canada, so.
Yeah, well, there's one, since that is the national bird of the United States. Yeah, you don't you don't do anything to a bald eagle down here.
Not down there, no.
Or no.
Up here, it's just like, oh, a bald eagle. But down there, I know what you guys can get. Like, you get a tear in your eye.
Well, it's like, what's the national bird of Canada?
I don't think we have one as far as I know, but I don't know.
And I'm not talking about the middle finger.
That's the other bird.
That's universal throughout the world.
Yeah. I'm
But yeah,
not sure we have one. I don't think so, but I'm not sure either. I'm not.
I know the Canadians absolutely despise the bald eagle for some reason.
Not so much here. We don't have a lot of bald eagles here. Well, I mean, I'm sure we do, but I don't see a lot of them. We got a lot of hawks. I don't like them.
I had the horrible task of working in Maui for a while, and it was during the season that the snowbirds had come down from Canada, and they were staying in the condos there where we were at, and they just almost hate Americans. I almost hate anything about Americans sometimes. So it depends on where you're from, I guess. But they were from I don't remember what city that is, just north of Seattle, Washington. So.
Oh, there are a lot. Yeah, a lot of Canadians go down there in the wintertime. A lot from here in Newfoundland. I'm on Newfoundland. I'm on the little island.
A Newfie.
Yeah, I'm a Newfie. So
okay.
I'm going to the move. I'm going to Calgary. So Alberta. Okay. Calgary, Alberta.
I worked in. Now my brain's not going to work. I have to Google it. Yeah, I'll keep talking.
It's a long trip. It's gonna be like I think it's like 5,000 kilometers. So
good.
Not sure how many miles that is, but it's a long ways.
All right, I know it's in the province of Ontario.
Let's see. All right, I just found it. Penalties include a maximum of 5 years and $250,000 fine for felony convictions, and a maximum of $10,000 fine for civil violations on harming a bald eagle.
That's in the States or Canada?
That's here in the United States.
Yes. They are protected.
They are. Yeah. I think hawks are protected too, actually. Like all those big birds.
Yep.
Pretty sure.
There we
go.
Criminal things are. A person can be convicted of violating the act, can be fined up to $5,000 or imprisoned up to a year, or both can occur. If a person is convicted for 2 violations under the act, he or she can face an enhanced penalty of up to $10,000 or both, or imprisonment for up to 2 years or both.
I like the enhanced penalty.
You were asking
like
about
that
a bird. I think maybe a goose.
Is that the Canadian?
Might be bird? Canada geese, yeah. Canada goose.
I worked in Tiverton or Kincardine, and they have the Scottish Festival every year. That was quite fun. We would drive to Goderic for some reason to pick up materials half the time. And then the next summer or winter, I worked in Grand Bend, which is even closer to the line there with the, what is that, the Mitten State there. So I had to drive to London there one time for a man lift class because I got caught. I got caught in Canada running a man lift without a man lift license, and they're a little stricter about it there than they are here. I was always told, "Oh yeah, you did that class" by my direct manager. I was like, "Hey, do I have a class for such and such?" He'd, "Oh yeah, you sat down and took that class." And he'd always tell me I had the whatever certificate. He'd tell the site that I had the certificate. Went to Canada, and I was up there and doing my thing, and they're like, "You got a certificate for that?" "Oh yeah, my manager's he'll email it to you." And they're like, in Canada, they the license has to be a Canadian license. They don't accept the American license.
Okay.
But they also found out that I'd never had a license, and so I got kicked off of that particular site, only to go back a few months later to the other site. the only person that I know of that's ever been kicked off of a Siemens site and returned back to work for Siemens. But usually if you've been kicked off of a Siemens site, you're kicked off of all Siemens sites permanently. But
wow.
Siemens wasn't the ones who kicked me off the site. It was the BOP contractor brought it up to the Canadian, Ministry of Labor or whatever they have up there. So
I don't know what it is, but yeah, something like that.
you probably you know more about it than I do, I'm sure. But yeah, they were very strict about certain things. Although their truck driver drove a nacelle under a power line, arced it out, ruined the power line for several miles in both directions, and welded the power line to the top of the nacelle.
Well,
And I had to go up there and cut that wire off the top of the nacelle, grind it down flush, and repaint the tower.
Wow.
So, that was on delivery.
I'm going to guess that guy probably lost his job after that. What?
They drug tested him. He was fine. I was like,
that's shocking. Yet you lost, or yet you.
That was
you got
tens
kicked off
of thousands.
a man lift.
That was tens of thousands dollars worth of damage, and he gets a little. And
slap on the wrist.
I used a man lift. The only reason they discovered I didn't have a license is because the guy who delivered it from the rental company bent the basket, offloading it because it was muddy that day, and the whole trailer kicked over sideways as he was backing it down the ramp, and the basket stabbed into the ground, bent the basket a little funny. I was like, you know what? That basket's made out of bent sheet metal anyway. I got work to do. I got to get up in that basket and get this stuff done. And the BOP contractor site safety guy showed up, started asking questions, and before long, I was out of there.
That's crazy because the other guy literally caused, like you said, thousands of dollars of damage. And you knew what you were doing. It's not like it was your first time on a man lift. You had an idea of what you were doing.
I was like, well, the basket's it was bent a little. To me, it was like the basket's already made out of bent tubing and bent sheet metal. The welds looked good to me. My biggest worry was if the toe panel, kicked out, or if the point where I tie off on was in good shape. I just tied off to the other side of the basket where it's still in good shape.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
I'd already gone up there, painted the tower, and got back down before the safety guy got there.
Pickle. Now it says, I did the look. It says the Canada Jay is supposed to be the national bird of Canada. But then I did a little bit more scrolling, and it says, "What is the Canada state bird?" They say it's complicated. And it's like there's 5 different ones
for each province.
That's right for us.
You got the common loon, snowy owl, gray jay, Canada goose, and black cap chickadee.
Yeah, I thought the goose would be on there. Cobra chickens. That's what we call them.
What are they called?
Cobra chickens.
Cobra chickens.
Yeah, you get it now.
It took a minute. Yep. Cobra chickens. Oh, those things are mean.
Yeah, stay away from them things when they're hatching eggs. Man, they are mean old birds.
But what the fun part about working in Maui was the mountain that the wind turbine park is on. They have a hiking trail that runs right through there. It's a public hiking trail. It's part of the state park. And then 2, it's the nesting ground for some nene goose, an endangered species. And that is the only place in the world that these birds nest at.
Wow.
You're not allowed to harass these birds, honk the horn at these birds. You're not allowed to rev your engine at these birds. If one decides to stop in the road, you're not allowed to go around it off-road. You have to wait until that bird has decided he wants to leave. And you're not allowed to help him decide to leave. We got trapped on the mountain for 3 hours one morning. We'd already gone up there, verified the wind speeds were too high. We were trying to leave, so we'd go to the beach. We had to sit there for 3 hours until this bird decided he was going to get out of our damn way.
Damn.
Because you never know when there might be a bird watcher watching from several hundred yards away with some binoculars.
Oh, yeah.
Taking pictures or something. If they
You gotta
get
be
pictures
careful.
That they just said, "Don't harass the birds. You're on the
It's
clock.
like Indiana
You're on the
cows.
clock." You know? Yeah.
Now that kind of reminds me of Key West, Florida. I went there on a cruise, and I found out if you go there, you'll see chickens running all over the place. Okay. And the thing about it is, you can't touch them. It's a bird sanctuary. So you can be arrested if you harm a wild chicken running around.
Even though a chicken's a domestic animal,
Mm-hmm.
it's a bird sanctuary.
It's a bird sanctuary, so you cannot harm the chickens. And they were running around all over the place.
What if they're in your chicken? What if you lure them into a chicken coop and convince somebody that they're your pet chicken that you've been raising for?
Well, my chickens, they were trained to, you'd call, chickens, and they'd come running.
Chick, 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 chick.
Yeah.
That I don't know, but I don't remember ever seeing KFC around there.
Damn.
I think that was a funny thing about, what you were talking about over in Maui. That reminded me of going to Key West.
Yeah. Key West is pretty laid back, and the islands are definitely on island time.
Oh, yeah.
I remember we got stuck in traffic. Somebody was in a Volkswagen Cabriolet. So it was a Beetle, topless Beetle. He was yelling at some girl on the sidewalk. He was just driving at whatever speed she was walking, trying to get her phone number. And we were stuck behind him because there's no room to pass over there.
Yeah. When I was there, I actually went and rented one of those little scooters, and it was like $60 or $65. Tax and everything was about $72 for like 3 hours. And it was
bad.
a chance to ride around Key West. And now they did tell you, they gave you a map and everything and said, okay, just remember to stay in this area here. Don't go over here because the speed limit is like 45 and faster. Your scooter is only limited to about 35.
Yeah. So you get in the wrong zone, you'll be in trouble. You get run over.
And that thing was easy to ride around on. Because I had my ex-girlfriend with me and was like, we're getting hungry because it's about 1:00. And I saw this little restaurant. I said, hey, you want to go in here and get something to eat? She goes, I'd rather go to this little Mexican restaurant right over here. And it's like, I go, where? She goes, it's right behind us. I literally did a U-turn with that thing right in the middle of the street. Pulled in the place, and they were open and everything, but they were so dead, the staff did not realize we were there.
Oh my!
Wow,
that's terrible.
We were there like 5 minutes waiting up front before someone came out and was like, "There's some good food."
Yeah,
and then
they definitely had time to cook it right.
Now,
clean grill, ready to go.
Oh yeah. But one thing I will say is, if you go, I don't care what place you go to, if you rent like one of those scooters, pay for the insurance. Okay. I knew someone that was on our cruise ship that went and got one, did not pay for it, actually got involved in a wreck, and it cost extra $300.
Oh, that's
for
ridiculous.
damages.
Wow.
They're just waiting for somebody to not buy the insurance. They probably got a red car waiting out back, ready to chase you down.
Yep.
Cut you off.
And like I said, for me, it was like $70 or $75 total, and that included the insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you get it anyway? For $75, done.
Right. So I mean, it's worth it compared to spending less money and then getting involved in a wreck, and now you're going to be $300 to $400.
You don't save anything if you get in a wreck.
You're paying for the scooter,
Right.
Yeah. Me and the wife are heading to Cozumel in 2 weeks? Less than 2 weeks now. Next week, I'll be flying home.
Wow.
Cozumel and Costa Maya. We went there back in January, February, last week of January, and now this time we're taking our son with. So And we're gonna get to experience it in the summer instead of the winter. So,
Cozumel is very beautiful. I like it there. I've been there twice. Costa Maya, I was supposed to go on my last cruise, but that got canceled due to everything that happened. Because it was supposed to be Cozumel, Costa Maya, and, Twisted.
Thanks for coming.
Yep, and Roatan.
Roatan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's that at? I know it's down there, but
it's Honduras.
Okay, is it further down then?
Yeah, it's further on down, and Roatan is actually an island just off the coast. And I started watching some of the videos about Roatan, and it's like, oh, okay, you can rent a scooter down there, and it's only like 3 miles from one end to the other.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, oh, they got a rum bar and they got chocolate. Oh. Okay. Places I want to go.
How long you been waiting there? I didn't see you at first.
About a minute.
Oh, okay.
I've been having
6%.
Is your airbag thing all edited up?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Pickle.
Did you get your airbag video all edited up?
Yeah, it's done.
Oh, cool.
I set off a passenger airbag in my backyard. That videoed it yesterday. So
I'll tell you what, when I get interrupted, editing a video, it seems to take 3 times longer to get back rolling again on editing. I was planning on editing yesterday morning, and then got that pag oil in my eyes, and that ruined my whole day. I was not wanting to look at anything. My eyes were in dire pain, but just a discomfort. I'm fine now. I was fine once I found that video. Where was I told you all about it yesterday. It was a AC tech that got some in his eyes because he wasn't wearing his safety glasses, and his comments on his description below said it's basically mineral oil and it's causes discomfort and you'll be fine. Just try to remember to wear safety glasses so you don't do what I did.
Yeah.
So after I read his comment, I got to believing the SDS sheets, because some of the SDS sheets, said if irritation persists, go seek medical attention, or symptoms persist. They didn't say what symptoms. The SDSs want to be as vague as possible. So.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Yeah, because I'm releasing 2 to 3 videos a day right now. So
Goodness gracious.
Yeah,
I've been doing.
You're hurt at her.
I've been doing about 2 shorts a day lately. So
it's 2 shorts, 2 build videos, and then the live stream every week right now. Trying to hit the 1,000 subscribers, just get it over with.
I've
just been doing the live stream every Friday. Just wait until I get this move over with. I'll have a lot of cool stuff, man.
No, it's not gunpowder. It's a chemical reaction. There's no actual smoke or anything else. It's just 2 chemicals put together extremely fast, and they go pop. And they're also really poisonous to breathe. So
same thing with seatbelts. I've seen the little balls they have inside the mechanism. It causes a little detonation. The little balls go in there and they jam the whole system. I've seen that before. The little ball bearings.
And it is. I actually did it. Part of what I did at 2 facilities I worked for was setting off airbags. So I do know what I'm doing with them, and I was careful. So, but I thought it'd be good for views, and I need to get rid of the airbag anyway. So,
well, at least
I've seen a video where they had this guy sitting on one of them when it went off.
Yeah, and
a lot of those.
It's like, he got launched about 6 to 8 feet up the air.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm willing to do that for views.
No, yeah, I don't know.
Hey, Pickle, I'll go get one for you, Pickle. You're young, you'll hit fast.
Pickle will be over in a little bit, so you can test it out on him.
Yeah. No, it went about 35 feet in the air. So.
Goodness
wow.
Gracious.
Yeah. It goes higher than one of my trees in the backyard, and that tree is right around 30 feet. So it actually went out of frame for a second.
Oh
wow!
Yeah,
man, them things go out.
Oh no, and they're faster than sound. I've got it slowed down towards the end of the video, and it explodes before you hear it.
Wow,
man,
that's cool. That's going to be really cool. I can't wait to see that.
Just so we don't have it is a chemical reaction. It is designed for safety. It's not going to burn anybody. It's not going to hurt you if you do it correctly. So, but don't try it at home. I technically am a trained professional. So
Technically,
So is that the new style of airbag, or is it for the old style, or what?
it was out of one of my Cherokees, so it was a 2000.
Okay, so one of the newer styles. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know that I had a 93 Voyager that I got involved in a wreck one time. Someone pulled out in front of me, and I basically T-boned them doing about 45. And yeah, my airbag went off, and it's like the whole inside, the van was all filled with all that smoke and everything.
Yeah, it technically is a poison. The chemicals put together are technically a poison, so you don't want to breathe them too much. But if you only have like 1 or 2 car wrecks in your lifetime, which hopefully you do, it shouldn't give you any issues.
you just want to get out of the vehicle or open the windows as soon as possible.
I hope I'm done.
If you can.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the airbag's there for, right?
Yeah.
When I worked for Livernois, that was one of the things I did was set off. I think I set off about 300 airbags in a special control booth.
Yeah.
And then we had airbags at the proving grounds that we had to set off, and also seat belts, stuff I can't say on YouTube because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But you can make all kinds of neat stuff out of safety equipment.
Right. I'm not a mechanic, but I pretend to be one on YouTube.
Yeah. Like I said, it sounds like he had fun setting off all them airbags.
That's a cool job. Let me tell you.
I'd put it like this. I did it enough that it got boring.
Wow.
I don't know. I could see what my coworkers would probably have done on their lunch break.
The stuff we did at the proving grounds was fun because we had to get rid of them. They didn't say how, and so we
airbag claymores
ways to do it.
So was that before or after you became 6% recycled?
That was long before.
Is that why?
All that is what's gotten you to where you're at now.
Hey, like that sticker says that I sent you. I did my own stunts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it over here still.
I got mine here too.
I know it looks just like the photos I had printed before, but the stickers are now here.
Right there.
I did my own stunts. Yeah. Oh, that's your foot.
That's my actual.
Yeah. That's foot.
Yeah.
Ah, goodness.
It's technically. I didn't have them when I sent you stickers. It's technically worse now than it is in terms of what's not there anymore. So,
really?
The surgery's worth of foot.
Wow.
Now you said this is what, the new one?
Yeah, that you were actually the first person who got one of those.
Oh, good.
Oh, that's a neat one. I like the gear logo. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a company that makes T-shirts and stuff, and it's made in Detroit as their logo, and it looks a lot like that. And since I'm not in Detroit, I put made near Detroit because I am near Detroit. So
yeah, I got these two.
That's the one I got.
Thank you again for
that.
that.
Yeah. So I've got these two here. He sent me these.
Yeah, that's what I got too.
So I'm the first one to have one of these.
Yep, literally, you're the first person who got one of those.
Good. I gotta get that thing put up.
Potato launcher for airbags. That sounds awesome.
That would be that you would make a potato salad in a heartbeat because it would not survive.
It just shred it, huh?
Yes, and it would you'd have potato all over you.
Oh my goodness. Maybe all over something.
Man, I don't know. That might beat the airbag.
Youch.
No, I did it in controlled. Like I said, I do know what I'm doing with them, and I did safety. I had 3 cameras running, and I was behind something when I set it off. So
yeah,
I knew it was going to go straight up.
It would have been aimed towards me and hit me in the head or something. So
that's why there's a couple warnings on it. Don't do this at home. I thought it'd at least be a fun short because padding it out, and I needed to set it. I needed to do something to get rid of it. I didn't want to just put it in the trash.
Right.
So,
No. Yeah. It's like the
I
chemicals
put
I
some
work with.
sketchy things in the trash, but that takes it to a whole new level.
If you don't send it a signal, it will not go off unless something catastrophically strange happens. They are inherently very safe.
good to
It's
hear.
not like if it gets hot, unless like in a fire it could go off. Normally it won't. It's not. But I didn't want to set any live anything in the trash. I don't need that kind of trouble. And
Yeah,
plus,
exactly.
might as well do it for the views. So
Right.
So when are you going to have that video come out tomorrow?
likely Sunday.
Expect about 3 copycat videos in the next couple weeks.
You know.
Right, Pickle? Mater?
If I had an airbag, sure.
Well, most junkyards will sell you an airbag, so
No
Yeah.
comment.
That'd be great if there, that would be great if there was an airbag.
I think that parts truck, it's an 01, so I'm pretty sure it had one in it.
I mean, I've had them go off, and I had one of them go off in my face, so I have experienced the fun part of it.
The fun part, yeah.
Yeah,
Is it hard when they go off?
you don't know it. It's so damn fast, you don't know it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially in a wreck. I mean, it is faster than sound. You'll see it in the
It's-
video. It
It's
literally is
instantaneous.
instant. It is less than a second. It's milliseconds technically.
Because I've had one go off on me when, like I said, when I got involved in that wreck, and it's like, it's real fast, and then they're inflated.
I wonder what the hell happened.
Right, it's like you're kind of getting dazed by it and everything, and then by the time you kind of figure everything out, that thing's already deflated.
Yeah.
It's all done. It's done and over with.
Wow.
So you're talking, by the time the ignition starts on it, and by the time you've come to realizing everything, you're talking maybe 3 seconds, and everything's over with.
It comes out extremely fast. Like if you see any of the car wreck videos where they have the test dummies, that's in super, super slow-mo. You never see it in reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, realistically, as soon as they touch the wall, I mean, the bags are going off. You can see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's technically less than a second that it takes to go off.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't show you how to do it. It's not like you can't figure it out if you try hard enough, but I'm not gonna show anybody how to do it.
Anybody ever see a Patriot missile launch?
No.
That's the missile that's made to shoot down other missiles.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, you mentioned it
don't-
last
you
night
don't
on
see it.
on the live
you
stream.
don't see it, you hear it, and then you see the vapor trail behind it.
Yep.
They come out of the tube at Mach 5 and they're still accelerating.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know.
The
got-
Hellfire missile comes off the rail at 5 Gs, which it's a 95-pound missile, comes off. It doesn't break loose from the rail until it's producing 500 pounds of thrust, and that's in the first couple milliseconds. Once it leaves the rail, it keeps accelerating, because the thing about rockets, the faster you go, the faster you go. You've expended fuel, and you're still accelerating, and you're getting lighter as you go, too, as you expend the fuel, whether it's a solid or liquid fuel propellant. So
Yep.
it's
I got
neat technology.
go to a Minuteman missile silo here in Texas one time.
We used
the
to ride our
stuff-
motorcycles around to them.
There was actually one out by just east of Dallas, and I actually knew the couple that had bought that property from the government and everything. And he was showing me around, and it's like we actually went down inside of one of them. And I said, "What about the other two?" He goes, "I haven't got the water pumped out of them yet."
Yeah.
And man,
They fill up.
mind you that this thing is probably a good 100-foot deep underneath the ground. And he showed me the door on the second one, and you could only go down probably about 5 or 6 feet before your feet were getting wet.
Yeah.
He had that much water he would have to drain
The water
out.
table's pretty high in that region, yeah.
And mind you, that thing is huge under there.
Yeah.
It's a lot
Because-
of water.
Well, the
That's a
simple
lot
fact
of
is,
water.
you've got the area where the missiles are. There's like 3 of them. Okay, so you've got the launch area, say right here. Off to each side, you've got 2 others, and then off to those, that's where the control rooms and everything is at.
Multiple control rooms, yeah.
There's multiple, and we're talking, like I said, you're 100 feet up underneath the ground, all in
Amazing.
concrete.
Several feet thick concrete, too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not a thin slab.
Yeah,
but it's still water will weep through it, and you've got to pump it out.
Concrete's one of those porous materials. I mean, it's not watertight at all. I mean,
nope. And that's the thing, when the government, moved out, all those water pumps and everything,
got shut down.
They were just shut down, and they actually had 4 Cummins diesel engines out there running the generators. They pulled 3 of them out of there. He says, "We've got this one here. If you want it, you can have it." The only thing I had to do was figure a way getting the thing out of there.
Yeah.
And it was in a CinderBlock building.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I worked for the military contractor, we built the THAAD stuff. We never did any of the missile stuff. A couple of the guys went to the testing facility and watched them, and I can't remember where it was out west. I think it was in the Palm Desert area, but we never actually we never actually saw them in our facility.
29 Palms, Fort Irwin area. Yeah, that's where they do a lot of that testing.
It's been a long time since I worked fiddle.
Oh yeah. I worked on the Apache, so our missile defense systems were right outside of where I was working at. That was with my first deployment. We had a barrage of the old TOW missiles that Saddam owned, and they would launch them every 15 minutes to 2 hours, and the Patriots would launch and go get them. The scariest one was when the Patriot hit before we even heard it launch. We heard it hit the target before we'd even heard it launch, and then we heard the shrapnel hitting the ground. It was like, that could potentially be a dirty missile. We suited up rather quickly that day. So.
Wow.
Someone did something wrong.
Uh-oh.
I don't know, but I'm hearing the sirens going off. Pickle, what'd you do this time?
What?
They're after you, Pickle.
Yeah, they're coming after you, Pickle.
Oh, there you go. There's Pickle.
Somewhere.
The Brady Bunch thing here going on.
Yeah.
You got to learn which way to look.
I do it on purpose just because it drives Dan nuts when he's on the phone.
Oh, the music man?
I'm sorry?
The music man?
No,
that's Tom's music.
That's Tom. Dan is the produce manager.
Oh. Now, he was talking how he didn't like the red cabbage.
Yeah.
I remember that part. I was like,
He's made many conundrums. He expects everything, and then if you remind him he's on the opposite side of these things happening, he doesn't want to continue the conversation. So if he looks for anybody who will agree with him and then latches onto it.
Normally he goes my way because
he tries to drag you in on his side for everything, Pickle. So
that's because I agree with him on some things.
That's the thing. Like, he and I actually agree on a lot of stuff. It's just we don't agree on the reason for the things we're doing. Like, I use reason and logic. He goes, "Yep,
good enough."
I know.
No reason, no logic. Just that's what I want to do.
No, but if you need help with a carburetor and Miss Carol's not available, Dan's extremely knowledgeable.
Oh yeah, he knows. He'll take apart a carburetor for fun. Like, that's what he'll do in his spare time.
I really do think he sleeps with one on the bed.
I think so. I think he's just got one under the covers, right next to him.
Oh, if
it's got its own pillowcase with its own blanket.
Yes.
Yep.
For me, if I need help on a carburetor, I've got a lady up in Ohio. I'm going to call her because her husband, he builds those little pulling tractors, like the lawn garden style.
Oh.
And he had a 2-stroke carburetor on the boat engine. He took it apart 3 or 4 times, could never get it done. She takes it apart one time, puts it all back together, it's working fine. Go, oh, there's a carburetor lady.
That's right.
And he was going.
That certain.
I mean, he could not believe the fact that she took it apart one time, did whatever it was, put it back together, ran fine.
Yeah, the thing about that is it could be like one little piece of grain of sand or something stuck in one of them little holes, and that's the end of her.
Little piece of crud somewhere in there, and she found it.
Yeah.
It's just like that carburetor for my riding mower. I picked up one of those Predator 708 engines when they still had them.
Yeah.
That thing constantly was running real rich. I mean, it was blowing out the black smoke like you would not believe.
Like the choke was
And-
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, the choke was off. Okay. And because I had to manually do the choke on it. Okay. Because that's when I swapped the engines out. And I took that thing apart several times. It never did want to work right. I finally wound up ordering another one, and it works fine now. It's just something from the manufacturer that was wrong.
Yeah,
That
it doesn't
carburetor.
take much, especially with lawnmower carburetors. Everything, the passages are so small.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Anybody know anything about the Kohler fuel injected V twins?
I don't know much about fuel injection, to tell you the truth.
I don't know much
Yeah.
about engines.
But this
Yeah,
guy, he's the fuel injection guy. So
I'm at my. I figured out enough to know that it's got its own kind of like an OBD port. They have their own troubleshooting thing that they can plug into it and troubleshoot it. So I'm at the point where that stuff's going to go away, and it's going to be a carburetor with 2 coil packs. You know, because
Now,
they made a they made a carbureted version of that motor. So I was going to get on eBay and order those parts and swap them out.
You
Yeah,
can
if
always
you
put
are-
that fuel injection system down to me. I'll put it to good use.
Yeah, if you can't pull codes, and you can always do they make a cheap injector tester where you can just hook up like brake cleaner, carb cleaner, and the special apparatus with the injector in it, and it'll show you the pattern. And you can check the sensors, check the wiring. But if it's a program issue, you're kind of stuck if you can't get into it.
It needed a new fuel pump for sure. They were trying to run the carbureted pulse pump, and clearly that wasn't going to work. So we got the fuel pump with it when we got it, and wired that in. We had to actually have a lift pump to pump fuel into the high pressure pump, because the way that particular high pressure pump is it's a miniature gas tank with a little electric motor inside there. So you pump fuel into that tank, and then it boosts it up to the fuel injected pressure. It's not getting spark, and it's not spraying fuel. So I guess it could be the crank position sensor.
Could be that. There's several things that would cause something like that not to work. There's several different channels out there that deal with nothing but the small engines. There's Terrell. That guy there, he knows quite
That's how I found him.
Yeah.
Maybe just send it to him and let him do it on his channel.
He might. I don't know exactly where he's at.
Right.
I know he's up north of me somewhere.
Oh, goodness.
But I'm pretty sure there's got to be someone out where you're at and everything that might have, some of that equipment and know what they're doing.
Yeah, might just bite the bullet and send that motor to a small engine repair shop and, get that part working though. So it's on a Van Air. It's a combination compressor generator welder. It's made to go on the back of the semi-service trucks. So those things retail for about $5,000 to $7,000, and
it's like, damn it, close by. Let me come by and get it, and I'll bring it in here, start doing testing and everything, getting it fixed.
Yeah, I plan to. That was the plan, is to get it up and running and put it out there. And once it's up and running, I was actually planning on putting it up for sale. So
yeah, I mean, there's a few things. I mean, okay, you said you're getting no spark on it, right?
No spark and no pulse out of the injectors either. So
okay,
it might not be getting power to the ECU. I don't know. Didn't get that far in.
Yeah, that's the thing. There are several different things you're going to have to look at on there as far as figure out where you're losing power at.
Yeah.
And that right there is going to be a hunt and find, and just tracing down that wiring harness to figure out what does what to send the spark to it. You could have bad coils.
Somebody could have eaten the wiring, like a mouse or a rodent or any small animal.
Right. You could have a ground wire that is grounding out.
That's happened to me.
Not sending power, for not allowing the coils to have. I know Terrell, he wound up finding that there was I think some kind of a riding mower, that there was a safety switch on there that had actually gone bad, and it was actually grounding out the coils where they weren't getting spark.
Yeah. Could be something simple like that.
Right. It could be something simple as that. Could be something there without actually getting into it and start putting a test light on it and everything else. That's what's going to take the time trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to take it. Get the crowd and everything off, and just start testing everything.
Yeah. It's the problem I have with it is it's at home and only get 1 week every 6 to 8 weeks to go play with it. So I've had 2 sessions of playing with it so far, and I haven't gotten very far. So.
And that's what, the one down here in Texas?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're not that far from me, so drop it. Give me something to do.
Right.
I had rodent damage on a EFI system once. It was I think it was a 2018 Terra Forerunner, I believe. And squirrels had gotten into it, and something had caused the engine to have a sudden misfire. And this thing was brand new at the time. Yeah. And also, the ABS line somehow got eaten off. So, keep those furry critters out of there.
Certain car makers used a soy-based coating for wiring, which attracted small animals. There's actually supposed to be something in the signal that's emitted by even at low pulse that it actually attracts rodents to the copper wiring itself.
That would explain it, because that thing was terrible. Like, holy crap! There were so many squirrels in that thing all the time. Like, couldn't keep them out of it.
Did yours ever backfire?
I don't think so. Just had a heavy misfire on one cylinder.
How about this guy? Did he ever have that?
Because that could shear the flywheel key. Don't know the history of the motor beyond it was already having these issues. My brother was a service mechanic at the time. Was paid to actually take that thing off their service truck, and it was on somebody else's service truck. He got paid service time to go take it off their service truck and put a new one on. And he said, well, what do y'all want me to do with this one? They said, take it home. And so he does have he included that with it when I bought it from him. It's a Briggs & Stratton Kohler V-twin motor that's about the same size, but I got to look in the shaft length was completely different. I think it's even a different shaft diameter, so I'd have to make a shaft adapter on my lathe or something if I was to use that motor.
Okay, now is it a Briggs or is it a Kohler?
The one on there is a Kohler. The one he gave me a spare that's a Briggs. So,
all right. So so it's the Kohler one that
Kohler's mounted on the machine. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the one you're having the problem with right now.
Yeah, Kohler's got their Kohler brand fuel injection.
Right. So what you're wanting to see about doing is putting the Briggs on there instead.
It's a thought. It's a backup plan.
Now, what's the difference? Okay, you said the output shaft is the only difference between the two?
I believe I know there's a major difference in length and probably diameter too, if I remember right. I don't have it here in front of me, so I can't remember.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, you're also going to have to look and see what each one does as far as RPMs and also horsepower wise. Because you can have a V-twin that is 16 horse, and then you've got some of them out there 22, and some of those machines require a 22 horse, and a 16 will not do it.
I think they're both around 18 or 19. They're within a horsepower of each other. But that project got moved recently too, so somebody wanted to put a Jeep on my front porch where that project was at.
Oh, now with the experience
My
I've had with
daughter-in-law.
I'll put it like this: with the experience I've had with Kohler engines, I would not go with one of those. I'd rather go with the Briggs.
At this point, I was like, if I have to buy more than 2 parts for that Kohler fuel injection system, it would be worth it just to put coils, the mechanical coils, in a carburetor. And I think the carburetor would bolt up to the same intake manifold that's already there. So, what you got there?
This is a Kohler, what we call a Kohler Discourage 19.
Discourage.
Discourage. It's a Kohler Courage, but everybody calls it Discourage.
Yeah, because they're
okay.
Mind the fact that this was on my riding mower. Okay.
Okay.
I got into an area, and by the way,
yeah,
see a window there.
those Kohler engines, they're really bad. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's the hole that happened to it. I
can still fix that.
That one's beyond repair. Totally. Okay.
Well, the window I could fix. I could glue something back in there. It'd be fine.
Yeah, but it's all the internals that you can't fix.
Yeah.
That's what I said. The window I could fix.
Well, now Jack says it's probably all you need is some Aerolite, and that'll fix anything. If you can't get it in this country, you have to get it from Britain. But that will fix. You can make an entire car out of that crap, and it will never come apart.
Yeah,
it's never going to rust either.
Hey, yeah,
it's almost a machinable.
Tend to fail in those engines, isn't it?
Yeah, but can you see?
There's the sleeve that's gone there at the bottom of the sleeve.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that's what got destroyed also.
You can just make a new one out of Aerolite. It'll be fine.
Junk.
Yeah. The Aerolite will probably last longer than the metal one.
Let's just say that the connecting rod was in about 4 pieces.
Yeah, it'll do that when you're running at $2,000 or whatever it is.
Well, believe it or not, the weird thing about it is I was mowing the grass and got into an area that was kind of thick with that Johnson grass. And if anybody knows anything about Johnson grass, when it gets thick, it's a pain to mow, cut, and everything. Well, It killed the engine. Well, once I restarted it, and the battery wasn't strong enough. So I brought my truck around, put the jumper cables on it, got it jump started, just sitting there idling. By the time I got the jumper cables off, put back in the truck, that thing had hand grenaded. Just sitting in idle. Okay. Both shafts for the cam gears and everything were bent. Of course, it put the hole inside the block, destroyed the cylinder wall. The connecting rod, like I said, was in like 3 pieces. That engine is beyond repair. And when I talked to my local lawnmower place, they said, "Yeah, I'd be looking at about $1,300 to get another motor."
Yeah.
Yeah, those Kohler Courages, they're just terrible. Once
right.
those oil slingers fail, which is probably what happened in your case, they're done.
Well, the thing about it is,
when he stalled it, it actually probably did the damage, and restarting it was hard because it was damaged.
Yeah,
probably. But the thing about it is, the guy at the place I called, he said it was a good idea what they did, but it was a bad design because on that particular engine, they decided to have the counterbalance not connected to the crankshaft. Counterbalance.
Just a balanced shaft, more or less.
No, it actually you had the crankshaft sitting here, and you had the counterbalance with 2 bearings, and the counterbalance was in its own little groove, and it just slid back and forth.
Crazy.
Yeah. And Musty One, he actually showed a video where he took one apart, destroyed both those bearings, all because the bolt holding the top piece to the bottom one had broke.
Yep.
And locked the engine up.
They're poor designed engines. Yeah, they're just
That's why if anybody in the small engine world, you tell them you've got a Kohler Courage, they go, "Oh, that's a Kohler Discourage," because you're you're very discouraged from having it. And the guy asked me, how long have I had it? I said, I've had it for about 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's nothing.
Man.
I mean, that engine would have had plenty of
Yeah.
life left in it if that hadn't.
Well, he said normal life expectancy out of one of those engines was a year to year and a half.
What?
Wow. That's sad.
That is sad.
Yeah,
That's bad design, bad manufacturing, bad everything.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they only produced them for like 5 years. And then they
Oh,
went,
boy.
What's a good thing they quit producing
Oh,
them?
it's 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They produced it for 4 years too long.
Exactly.
Right.
well,
That
they
was money
realized
grab.
what was
That's what
going
that
on.
was.
They figured all this stuff out. Then they went to the Kohler Command engine, and those are still around. But Briggs & Stratton's been around a lot longer. That's why, for me, I'd go with a Briggs engine, or I would actually, if you had the opportunity, go get you one of those Predator 607 or 670s.
Yeah. I tell you what, there's some cheap ones. The cheap ones are almost better than the brand name ones now, to be honest, actually. There's one of them out there. I got a Yardworks lawn tractor. I've had that thing for a couple of years now, and I've pulled loads of rock with it, cut grass. I've done things you shouldn't do with it, and it's still going just fine. So, I mean,
did you see that video that Redbeard put out where he picked up that? I don't remember the name on it, but it was like a 999 cc V twin.
no, I haven't seen it.
We're talking almost 1,000 cc V twin.
On it, probably a go-kart knowing him.
Actually, I think he was getting it all set up to go on a golf cart, converting it from electric to the gas.
Oh, wow.
And modifying it to where it had more power.
Of course.
Yeah.
I remember he did some complete overhaul cams and eliminate the governors and, crazy stuff to some of those, little air-cooled motors on the go-karts. I think he even put a supercharger or turbo on one. And
he did put a supercharger on a 670. And actually, I've got 2 of those 670s, and I've got one of those style turbo or the supercharger. I've got the bigger one.
Oh, excuse me.
damn.
And now I'll tell you what really surprised me was I did that mini bike race that's here in North Texas that's done by Go Power Sports.
Yeah.
Actually ran into Greg, and before I said anything, he goes, "Oh, hi, Mater."
That's good to get recognized, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was getting recognized by a few people out there, and I mean, I met a lot of the guys. I met Charles, John, and Isaac from Cars and Cameras.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, the only thing about that race, we actually got in the hardtail division because you had hardtail and you had full suspension. So, like I said, the only thing we had was the one Coleman CT, I think, was the hardtail. And man, I tell you, that 3.5 mile track was hard on my tail.
Ooh, I bet it was. The first video I saw from them was the little suitcase go-kart. That was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, they've done a lot more. Matter of fact, the one video the series they wound up doing was that little 670 dragster, and they did an old school style slingshot with it.
Oh, neat.
And it got me to thinking. It was like, that's why I've got 2 of these Predator 670s I picked up at Harbor Freight from their return area. $800 for both of them.
Dang.
Those things were normally $1,000. I got 2 of them for $800. But
There you go.
my plan before I started having all of my medical issues was to build a mini Top Fuel dragster with the engine sitting behind me. And that's why I want to get in that blower. I want to get that put on there and have it running on nitromethanol.
That'll be fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
goodness.
having it run on nitromethanol.
You get a scatter shield for your back. The back of your seat needs to be a scatter shield.
Yeah.
And it's like I was working all the details out, and I do want it fuel injection. And it's like, oh, okay. Saw a video for somebody else. It's like they were talking about doing a fuel injection on a small engine. We go, oh, I can incorporate that in on this.
Right.
And it'd be no problem.
All right, fellas. Well, I got to take off for tonight.
I'm thinking it's about time to shut this down anyway, guys. Y'all have a good evening. Who's got the next live out of us?
I got one tomorrow, I believe.
Okay. What
Yeah,
time?
tomorrow Friday, yeah.
The mouse went to sleep.
Yeah. What time's yours, Pickle?
It's 10 p.m. in Newfoundland time. For all of you guys, I don't know off the top of my head, but we have our own time zone. So
It's 8:30 for me. I'm in Eastern, so it'd be 7:30 for you guys if you're in Central.
7:30
Okay.
Central. Okay.
there you go. Okay,
All right.
Same time I started this one. Okay. That works.
cool. All right.
We'll see you tomorrow, Pickle.
All right.
Hopefully,
Take care,
hopefully
guys.
everybody will be there. All right. Later, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having me up. So have a good night.
Yeah.